So hey guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and liking this video. So what we're going to talk about today is how to replace our knuckle bearings for our RKS 150. It's very easy. We'll start off by removing this particular piece here, just two bolts. Remove them using an Allen wrench. Now the next step is getting yourself a 13 mm socket wrench. There's going to be four bolts here holding down the handlebars, so just take those off and you'll be able to have the access for the top area or the top clamp of your motorcycle forks here. Alright, next step, we're going to need to remove these three bolts. One bolt left and right. These are the bolts that currently holds your forks in place to the upper triple tree, so we're going to remove those and also remove the middle bolt which holds the steering stem. Now that we have the upper triple tree out, we can go ahead and remove the steering nut that holds down the steering stem from our motorcycle chassis. It's quite easy. If you don't have the special tools, you can just use a flat screw driver and use a hammer and try to loosen up. And once you loosen it up, you'll be able to remove the lower triple tree. So just a heads up, I'm not going to be using a new ball bearings here because what I have currently is still usable. There were no signs of damage itself on the housing, ball bearing housing, or to the ball bearings itself. So I'm going to be using them. I'm just going to clean them all up. I'm just using some gasoline here to clean up the areas there, and also with the ball bearings. So I'm going to be reusing everything. The only thing that's going to be new is the grease itself. So just watch what I'm going to do here. So I just made a homemade strainer here so I could drain the gasoline from where I was cleaning up the bearings. But once everything is all cleaned up and dried out, we can just proceed with assembling everything back. Now with our RKS 150, there are two types of bearings, ball bearings. One's are smaller and the other one is a bit bigger. The bigger ones goes through the lower triple tree, and the smaller ones go to the top side. Now based on my research, these are the recommended bearings that will fit in our RKS 150. Don't quote me on that because I haven't really checked on it yet, but this is, if ever it does work, so this is how it will do. Now just in case that we are in need to replace the upper bearings, all you need to do is use a long flat screwdriver, hit the points here, put it at the bottom, and then hit the points there in the arrows shown with a hammer until these bearings are off. Now once you have it ready, you have a new one, you can just put it back where you got it, and as the 4 points showed, just hit the 4 points and so it's gonna be equal when it's come down. Now once everything is all set, ready, use the new grease that you got and put as many as you like there. It's very important that this is well lubricated, so just go ahead and add in as much as you like. I like a lot put in there, so I can use that as a way for me to put the bearings in place before I have once everything is all ready. So here we go. So I have already completed the top side. Now I'm gonna move on to the lower side. Now just in case that you want to remove this, it's gonna be a bit difficult because we do have a little clearance that we can play around, but just in case you do need to replace them, one of the recommended part, or should I say I have research is that our T-Max 155 will work on it. Don't quote me on that, I haven't really tried it, but you are always welcome to bring in the old one as a reference. Go to the store. Now removing this part here is quite tricky because there's just a small gap for us to play around. But if you are going to go through with it, so just follow the diagram here, hit the 2 points in each area, and once it started to lift up, go ahead and try to maneuver in a way that it's going to be going around. Keep hitting the points around until you're able to lift up the entire bearing itself, housing the bearing. Now let's say you have the replacement bearing. Now what you're gonna need is a pipe. The interior diameter should be enough to go through the steering stem for you to use it as a leverage or as a hammer to pull down the new bearing you have to your lower triple tree here. So once that's all ready, you can just go ahead and use smudge it with a lot of grease that you have. It's a good way for you to as well use it as a glue, so that the bearings won't be going anywhere else. So as you can see here, I'm just gonna be using a piece of tweezer because I don't want to get the ball bearings oiled up because of my with my hand. So using a tweezer it's also recommended, or you can use it anytime, or you can use gloves. Anyways, as long as it's gonna be fixed up there, so aligned. Now all you have to do is place the nut the correct way. All right, and once it's all at the top side, use the steering nut there. Make sure it's all in place, and just don't tighten it too much, because if you tighten it too much, there won't be enough play for you to move around the handlebars, or it feels that when you're moving around the handlebars, it's a bit hard. So don't go crazy on hardening it. Just do something that's a bit balanced, and you know that it's gonna be comfortable for you to move around. There are actually recommended play for adjusting our steering nut or our steering. Now, I'm not sure how it is like from the manufacturers of our RKS 150, but because I'm only just basing it on my comfortability, so I've adjusted it that way. If you adjusted it too loose, it's gonna be damaging your bearings in the long run, because there's gonna be play on that one, up and down. If you hit a puddle, if you like go to a bump, series of bumps, you will feel like an internal bump within your bearings, and if it's too tight, then it's going to be quite difficult for you to move around. Now, you will also, another way for you to test if the bearings, the how you lock it was a bit too loose, is, for example, if you're running your motorcycle and then you lift your hands off the handlebars, and your motorcycle steering or your handlebar starts to wobble, so that's another indication that it's quite loose. So you can just go ahead and try to tighten it a bit more until that there is no wobble on it, and there is still enough play for you to move around without any hurdles or nothing stopping you from moving around freely. So this is where I end. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you've learned something, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Until we meet again.